everyone, it's Sara. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new Wednesday video. I was watching Sara from Sara without an H, her Choose Your Own Adventure reading vlog, which is so much fun, and I'll have linked below if you want to check it out. But in that video, one of my videos, Sapphic recommendations, was featured, and when I saw that, I realized that while I have been reading queer books in 90% of my reading vlogs, I have not actually done a Sapphic book recommendation. So in today's video, I want to do that because it's been over a year. In fact, it's been so long that I still lived in New York City and the bottom of my hair was still bleached. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. Here are 5 Sapphic book recommendations that I think you may love. Now, these are the books that I have read and loved in the past few years. And the first book that I'm going to start with is on the same page because this book is Friends to Lovers Goodness. In this story, we are following 2 women, Gianna and someone else, because y'all know I'm bad with names. But they have been besties since college, and it's been many years since college. And they kind of have this weird, very intimate friendship, but to them, it's just like platonic. They're just besties. But other people are like, okay, if you say, best friends. So we are following them, and Gianna is an influencer, doing very well for herself. Other female main character works in journalism, and she works for a news station. How they get together is very fun. I won't spoil it for you, so this is definitely not a spoiler, but due to a misunderstanding, one of them comes to believe that the other is interested in a friends with benefits situation. They're very confused, but they say, you know what? Best friends! And we're following the relationship. It is told in 2 timelines. It is told in one timeline in the past, with one of them very much pining for the other, and the other one is told in present day via their whole let's be besties with additional benefits. I just love this. First, the writing in this is really good. The relationship between our 2 main characters is fantastic, not only in their past timeline where you're exploring their friendship and their own individual character growth, but also in the present timeline where you're getting some of that pining, some of that longing, and some of those steamy scenes. This isn't a book that I would necessarily say is spicy, but it is one that I would tell you is fantastic. If you love the friends to lovers trope, it is a little bit long, but it is definitely worth it in my opinion. So I am recommending that you check it out if you've been looking for a friends to lovers sapphic romance. This is a shock to no one if you watch my videos. This is Stars Collide. I picked this up on a whim. It was just on KU and I was in my sapphic romance era, as I normally am. And I was like, yeah, let me read it. So in this story, we are following a mega famous pop star. And she, at the top of her game, she's in her 30s. She just came out of a long-term relationship and she's just trying to find herself. She released an album, which I'm forgetting the name of, but I believe it's called After Midnight.
You look like Taylor Swift in this.
And people were like, oh, this isn't a good album, but she is determined to just be on top of her A game. She's saying, no matter where my life has taken me, I have always been who I am, and I'm damn good at my job. So she's about to go on a worldwide stadium tour, and she's performing at an award ceremony. And for that performance, she ends up working with a young and up-and-coming pop star, someone who has a really good young fan base. They perform together, they have amazing chemistry, they sing well together, and our main female character, Miss Super Famous Pop Star, happens to invite her to be the opening act for this worldwide stadium tour, and they start going on tour together, and of course over time they gradually fall in love. This does explore a later in life coming out, an exploration of sexual identity, really good relationship building, because before they ever even get intimate or romantic, you're seeing the establishment of their friendship and their professional careers. If you like Hollywood stories, if you like the idea of reading a book about a music tour, if you like a certain artist, you may like this book, because I just think that it is so much fun, especially if you love like road trip stories or travel stories. Traveling is a part of this because you're exploring their relationship through each one of the cities that they go on tour. Then I have one of my most recent reads, and this is Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding. Another kind of Hollywood story. In Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding, we are following two women who have joined a reality TV show. If you like shows like 90 Day Fiancé, 4 Weddings, or even Say Yes to the Dress, this is the kind of premise that this book has, but with a little bit more silliness and drama. So the basic idea of this show is that the competitors pair together, and their job is to convince their respective families that they are in love, that they are engaged, and to get their families to assist in planning the wedding. Of course, they throw obstacles and wrenches in all of those plans, and whoever is able to make it to the altar and actually convince their families they're getting married wins, I think, something like $100,000. And you are following Devon and Chris, who are paired together, are now tasked with convincing their respective families that they are in love and getting married. This is a very unique premise. I haven't heard of something like this. It's fake dating, but in a reality TV show. And the aspects of the story that I really loved are also the exploration of a later in life coming out and the conversations about support for people who are coming out and what that looks like, as well as not being accepted for who you are. But Devon and Chris generally just have a really solid relationship. I love the ways that they interact with each other. They both, as characters, have such distinct personalities. They feel like very much like individuals with real stories, and so do all of the side characters in here. Like, I loved reading about their families. It felt like I was watching a movie, and in fact, while I was reading this book, it was so vividly described and so fully fleshed out that I thought this would be a really fantastic rom-com. Like, I could see it all play out. As I mentioned, Devon and Chris's relationship is super sweet. The exploration of Devon's story and her later in life coming out and the support that she receives from Chris in doing this, I just think is really sweet. It is a very lighthearted read at times. It does have some heavier moments, but overall, this is such a fantastic time, and I think I'm very comfortable broadly recommending this to anyone looking for a sapphic romance. Also, in the audiobook, Chris's voice is real sexy. Real sexy. I was like, she's starting to seduce me. Now we have a story with a bit more of a melancholy tone. This is Change of Heart. Change of Heart is also fake dating, but in the Scottish Highlands setting. So if you love like books set in the Scottish Highlands, I think that the atmosphere and the scenery itself is described very well. So in this story, we have two women. One is an actress who's really kind of struggling financially, and the other is a woman who comes from wealth. Her parents are celebrating a huge milestone anniversary. Things are awkward, and she just needs a buffer. She wants some kind of relationship so that her family gets off her back. One of her friends tells her about this kind of dating app where you can hire a fake partner, and what it is work for out of work actors. Via this connection to this app and knowing the person who develops it, she ends up getting matched with our other female main character, and they go up to the Scottish Highlands to pretend to be in a relationship. And of course, fake dating leads to real feelings. The audiobook for this is really great. As I mentioned, the atmosphere and the description of the scenery is absolutely fantastic if you're looking for that. These characters also have very complex backstories, and as you're reading the story, there is this underlying mystery because you know that these characters are connected some way or another, that there's this huge secret that no one is talking about within this family, and you're trying to figure out exactly what it is. And when you do, it is just so sad and so tragic. I may have shed a tear, so if you want to cry, you might want to pick this one up, but I would still say it is a deeply romantic book, but it definitely does have triggering topics like grief and what happens. I just have to say, I don't know how I would feel if I was in that situation, and if that's something that I would be able to overcome. If you want something a little bit heavier, a little bit more melancholy, then this is a really great sapphic romance. And again, the audiobook for this is really great as well because the narration for each of the characters is just done beautifully. And finally, I have a book that I just finished. This is How You Get the Girl. Yes, How You Get the Girl is a Taylor Swift lyric. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because this very much has you are in love energy. This is the story of a woman named Julie and a woman named Elle. Julie is a high school basketball coach. She absolutely loves her team, the Bobcats, and the teenagers really admire her. And one day, a new girl joins her school, and Julie is asked to allow her to be on the basketball team because this girl, Vanessa, is having a very hard time in life right now and really could just use the stability of being on the team. Julie says, of course, absolutely, and lets Vanessa onto the team. But what she doesn't realize is that Vanessa's foster parent is Elle. And Elle is a former WNBA superstar who suddenly left the league and was Julie's childhood idol. There is an age gap, but it's not massive. I think it's something like 4 years. So Julie really admired her. So when she ends up meeting Elle, she's like, oh my God. So because of Elle's history with basketball, and of course Julie coaching her foster daughter, they end up getting closer, and Elle decides to be the co-captain of the basketball team with Julie just because Julie asked for assistance. She is struggling with the amount of work that needs to happen in the team and really wanted to give each of the people on the basketball team individual attention. This has a bit of a slower pace, and the reason why I say it gives me You Are in Love kind of vibes is specifically because it feels like the slow build up to falling in love. One of the things that I really appreciated about this story is honestly the conversations that we had about Julie exploring her sexuality, because while she knows that she is a queer person and identifies with that label, she doesn't know where she falls within that. She has struggled her whole life with feelings of aromanticism and asexuality and wondering where on that spectrum she exists, how she experiences romantic attraction, how she experiences sexual attraction, when that happens for her, and really generally feeling behind in life because it's not something that she has been able to figure out so far. And she feels really isolated from general society because she feels like she should know by this point. And she confides this to Elle, and they decide to practice date. There are some elements of that I wasn't 100% comfortable with, but I did post or will post a reading vlog where I read this book in its entirety and can more vocalize why certain elements of this situation would make me uncomfortable. However, Julie and Elle really do make quite a cute couple. I love the ways that they emotionally support each other, the general communication between them, and just the things that they're dealing with. Elle is suddenly the foster parent to someone she never thought she would be the foster parent to, and she's struggling with her career, and Julie herself is dealing with identity and issues around identity and feeling like she's not sure what she wants her romantic life to look like or where she falls on that queer spectrum. I think this is a really solid read if you want something that's a little bit slower paced and you just want something that generally feels like a hug. Just a hug. And if you in any way identify with being aromantic or asexual or on that spectrum of aromanticism or asexuality, this is something that resonated with me quite a bit and just how Julie thinks about things. And I would recommend that if you want to read something that's an honest exploration of how some people think about these things. So besties, that does bring us to the end of this video. There you go, an updated list of some of my favorite sapphic romances that I have read over the past couple of years. I have also read lots of sapphic books that exist outside of the romance genre. I can do a whole separate video about that, but let me know if you're interested in that, and then I will happily film that so you can have sapphic recommendations outside of the romance genre. With that said, besties, I shall see you in just a few days with another video. Bye!